Listen carefully. This is meant for you. There is a version of you that needs to die. Not in a physical way, but in a mental, emotional, and spiritual way. A version that holds on to comfort, avoids truth, resists change, and destroys your future without you noticing. And if you do not destroy that version of yourself, it will destroy your real potential. The biggest tragedy of a man is not failure. It is the refusal to grow. It is getting comfortable with being almost who you are supposed to be. It is settling for being above average while still being far from greatness. Growth is not luck. It is not random. Growth is a responsibility. And it never shows up when it is easy. It shows up when it is demanded. You have to force yourself to become more than who you have been. Because the old version of you, the one built for survival, shaped by fear and tolerated by your past, cannot be carried into your future. It is not enough to just wish for a better life. You must become the kind of person who can actually live it. And becoming that person is not gentle. It feels intense. It demands sacrifice. It demands discomfort. It demands a daily fight with the part of you that chooses ease instead of excellence. The person you were is not the person who will reach where you are going. That old identity, the distracted one, the unsure one, the lazy one, must be broken. His habits must fall apart. His excuses must be exposed. His story must be rewritten. If you want a new life, then you must release the identity that is attached to the old one. This change will not feel like comfort. It will feel like struggle. But do not run from that struggle. That struggle is the sound of your limits breaking. It is the noise of your old self resisting disappearance. Let it resist. Let it burn. Let it go. Because your stronger self is already there, waiting, ready to rise the moment you stop protecting the weaker version of you. The old you wakes up late. The new you takes control of mornings. The old you avoids responsibility. The new you looks for it. The old you runs toward distractions. The new you chooses discipline again and again. You will never reach your highest level while carrying the weight of your old identity. You must bury that version, and you must do it every single day, not once, daily. Every time you wake up and choose action over delay. Every time you move, even when you feel lazy. Every time you do the work without needing praise. Growth does not live in comfort. Growth does not come from motivation. Growth comes from resistance. It comes from the gap between who you are and who you are becoming. Stop asking for easy paths. Easy will betray you. Easy is what failure feels like when it is disguised as comfort. Instead, ask for truth. Ask for challenge. Ask for pressure that builds strength. Because understand this clearly. Your future self, the version of you with discipline, clarity, and power, already exists inside you. But it is trapped under your current habits. It is buried under excuses. It is hidden behind distractions. And only you can free it, not with thoughts, not with wishes, but with daily action. You cannot rise while staying loyal to your old self. That loyalty must end. The version of you that delays, that fears, that hesitates, must be betrayed. Yes, betrayed. Because that version has already betrayed your future for too long. If you want to rise, you must go to war with your lower self. You must make your old habits uncomfortable, your old excuses unacceptable, your old patterns impossible to continue. Stop trying to fix the old version of yourself. He is not meant for where you are going. He was never built for that level. You must replace him completely, not with hope, not with luck, but with discipline and consistent effort. This is not to motivate you. This is to wake you up, because mediocrity has gravity, and if you do not resist it with full force, it will pull you back down. Changing will cost you comfort, pride, and laziness. But staying the same will cost you everything that matters: your purpose, your peace, your future. So stop waiting for the perfect moment. It does not exist. The right time is always now. Decide that you are done negotiating with your limits. Decide that your old self no longer gets control. Decide that your life will not be controlled by feelings, but by decisions. Because growth does not care how you feel. It only responds to action. You will feel tired. Keep going. You will feel afraid. Keep moving. You will feel doubt. Still act. Because fear only dies when you move beyond it. Doubt only dies when you replace it with progress. The only way to kill your old self is to stop feeding him comfort and start feeding him discipline. The old version of you was formed randomly, from habits you never questioned, beliefs you absorbed, and pain you never processed. But the new version of you will be created with intention. He will not come from comfort. He will be built in pressure. He will be shaped in silence. He will be strengthened in solitude, and eventually he will rise because you chose to allow it. Not because life made it easy, but because you decided to be consistent. That is what all strong men do. They outgrow their past. They outlast their weakness. They discipline their distractions. They rebuild themselves into something stronger. This is not just change. This is rebirth. And it starts with a decision. I will no longer live as the old version of myself, because every time you delay, the old version wins. Every time you justify laziness, he grows stronger. Every time you choose comfort, he survives another day. Enough. The world does not need another person stuck in the past. The world needs the real version of you, the focused one, the driven one, the fearless one, the one who does not wait for permission. He is not built in one moment. He is built step by step, one decision at a time, one uncomfortable action at a time. Brick by brick, you rise out of your old identity, out of your old thinking, out of your comfort zone. You were never meant to stay the same. You were never meant to remain stuck. You were built to evolve. And evolution is not optional. It is required. You either evolve or you fall behind. You either rise or you collapse into old patterns. So choose now, not later. Because if you do not outgrow your old life, it will become your trap. And you were never meant to live and die in mediocrity. You were meant to build something stronger, something lasting. But the foundation must change. The habits must change. The mindset must change. Everything must be rebuilt with discipline. And yes, it will feel difficult. But difficulty is the path that creates strength. Strength is built in struggle. Mastery is built in repetition. Greatness belongs to those willing to bury their old self without hesitation. The man who forces himself daily to become better is the man who wins. The one who waits for transformation will wait forever. Transformation is not given, it is taken. You do not wait to become better. You force it through action, through discomfort, through consistency. Yes, it will feel strange at first, because you are leaving the identity that once felt safe. But safety is not the goal anymore. Growth is the goal. Strength is the goal. Power is the goal. Question everything the old version of you called normal, because normal is what keeps people stuck. Normal is what destroys potential. Normal is where dreams go to die. The version of you that hits the snooze button, that keeps avoiding responsibility, that scrolls endlessly instead of facing your bills and duties. He is not your friend at all. He is your captor in disguise. And the moment you see him clearly for what he really is, that is the exact moment you start to reclaim your power again. You have to build an intolerance for your own excuses, a real allergic reaction to your old patterns, and a deep disgust for stagnation so strong that even the thought of staying the same becomes uncomfortable and heavy. That is when the shift truly begins, when you stop just wanting growth and start demanding it from yourself without negotiation, without delay, without softening it. You do not have the luxury of endless time. You do not have the privilege of postponing your life, because while you hesitate and delay, your potential sits locked in a silent cell, unchallenged, unused, and completely unlived. You break it open only through action, through intensity, through a daily standard that refuses weakness and says, "Who I was is no longer acceptable in any form." Because who you were may have carried you this far, but who you must become is not optional, it is non-negotiable. If you truly intend to go further in life, then do not just upgrade a few habits here and there. You must completely overhaul your identity from the inside out. Stop calling yourself a man of potential. That label expires quickly and keeps you comfortable in delay. Be the man who executes without hesitation, who finishes what he starts, who does not just dream of transformation, but fully embodies it in real life. Everything you do should pass through one simple filter. Does this align with the man I am becoming, or does it serve the man I am actively outgrowing and leaving behind? Every single decision, every action, every word you speak, every thought you entertain must go through that filter. Because once you decide to become the next level version of yourself, nothing in your life remains casual anymore. Your food choices, your daily schedule, your thoughts, your habits, your relationships, all of it must support that vision. Everything must serve the upgrade you are building. And you must protect that vision like a lion protects its den with absolute seriousness, because doubt will come again and again. Distraction will come in many forms. The temptation to go back will scream for your attention when things get hard. You must ignore it completely. When it whispers, "Just this once," you respond with a firm, "Not anymore." When it tells you that you have done enough for today, you question it and say, "Enough for who exactly? The man I was or the man I am becoming right now?" Because you must understand deeply that the old version of you does not leave quietly or peacefully. He claws back. He bargains with your mind. He rationalizes poor choices. And if you entertain him even for a moment, you breathe life back into your own limits again. That is why it is important to never negotiate with your old self. Starve him completely. Ignore him consistently. Replace him with new rituals, new beliefs, and new standards so strong that they completely choke out the weakness you once called normal behavior. You do not need more information at this point. You need immersion, total and radical immersion into the life you were meant to live. Read things that strengthen your mind. Listen to things that sharpen your focus. Surround yourself only with people who remind you of your greatness, not your excuses or your comfort. You must audit your circles seriously, because growth will naturally make you outgrow certain people. And that is not betrayal at all. It is alignment with your future. Some people will call your change arrogance or pride. Let them say it. They are simply addicted to the version of you that made them comfortable. But you did not come this far just to remain small for the comfort or approval of others. You came to become something intense, something real, something like fire. And fire never asks for permission. Fire does not apologize for burning away what cannot come with it. You were never meant to just fit in quietly. You were meant to rise. And rising always requires you to offend your past self. It requires you to break your old patterns. It requires you to kill off every version of yourself that was built only to survive so that you can finally thrive in reality. Yes, kill him. The lazy version of you, the anxious version of you, the overthinking one, the insecure one, all of them were formed from past pain, past conditioning, past compromises you made when you did not know better. They are not your true identity. They are learned behaviors. And anything that is learned can also be unlearned, but only through consistent action. Do not waste your time trying to heal the old version of you as your main focus. That is no longer your responsibility. Your responsibility now is to replace him with someone stronger, someone wiser, someone who wakes up every day with purpose and goes to bed every night with visible progress. Your job is to show up for your future self as if your life depends on it, because in reality, it does. And here is a hard truth. Most people will never change. Success is not soft. It is not gentle. It is not emotional in the way people want it to be. Success does not make exceptions for comfort or feelings. It demands that you release every belief that protects your weakness. The man who waits to feel ready will almost always remain the same. But the man who moves forward even while afraid, that is the man who builds something unshakable over time. He is the man who no longer operates on motivation, but on standards. He is the man who no longer needs external approval because he already approves of himself through his actions. He is the man who stops asking, "Can I become great?" and instead starts living in a way that makes greatness inevitable. You must become that man, and becoming him is not easy or soft. It is a violent internal process. It will force you to outwork, outthink, and outlast the version of you that keeps settling for less. But understand this clearly, it is absolutely possible. Not because you are magically different, but because you are willing to change, willing to pay the price of discomfort, willing to walk alone when necessary, willing to demand real results even when no one is watching you. That is where real evolution happens, not in public celebration, but in private discipline. Not when you feel inspired, but when you act anyway. Not when others applaud, but when you quietly prove to yourself that you did what was needed. And if you keep going long enough, the version of you that once only had potential becomes the version that actually fulfills it. Because you kept the promise to outgrow the man who feared rejection, the man who stayed small just to be accepted, the man who played safe to avoid discomfort. You bury that version completely, and in his place you build someone undeniable, someone solid, someone whose life becomes proof that discipline is powerful and real, someone whose habits clearly show, "I was not born to blend in. I was born to break patterns and rise above them." Because the highest truth in all of this is simple. The strongest version of you has always been there, waiting. Not for luck, not for rescue, not for perfect timing, but for you to stop apologizing for your hunger and your ambition. And that is what this entire journey is really about. Not becoming someone else entirely, but removing everything that is not truly you. The fear is not you. The excuses are not you. The laziness is not you. These are only learned layers from a former self who did not understand his own power yet. But now you understand more clearly. And once you understand, you can never truly go back to ignorance again. You may still stumble sometimes. You may still have moments of weakness. You may even falter along the way. But you do not retreat anymore because you have seen too much, felt too much, and evolved too much to return to that old life again. There is no way to go back. There is only upward movement. So rise again, one more step, one more stage, one more version of yourself. And this time, decide deeply that this version of you, the focused one, the brave one, the one who makes himself grow no matter what, this version will stay. There is no bigger fight than the fight between who you were and who you are meant to become. And that fight is not something you win once. It is fought every single morning, every single choice, every moment you resist the voice that tells you to remain the same. But I will tell you something, the world usually hides from you. Staying the same is pain disguised as comfort. As the man who does not grow is not escaping suffering. He is only choosing a slower, quieter kind of suffering. Standing still feels safe until you see the real cost. Until one day you wake up surrounded by average results, buried under regret, and thinking about the person you could have become if you had pushed harder. That is why I tell you now, be strict with your own growth. Do not just grow past your old self. Completely bury him under discipline, under higher standards so strong that he cannot return. Because you must understand this clearly. Becoming a new version of yourself is not soft, not poetic, not romantic. It is uncomfortable. It is intense. And it must feel that way if real change is going to happen. The old version has to end for the new one to begin. That means no more arguing with your habits, no more talking back to your doubts, no more loving your distractions or defending your laziness, no more excuses for your softness. You are either rising or you are falling. You are either guiding yourself with sharp focus or you are being pulled by your impulses into decline. And if you want real freedom, true freedom, the kind that very few people ever experience, it only comes through discipline. It only comes when your standards become so high that your old self cannot even survive near them. He cannot breathe in that environment anymore because everything around you demands performance, strength, purpose, and consistency. Your old identity cannot survive that pressure. Let him fade. Let the weak version of you disappear, the one who kept saying tomorrow, the one who waited for motivation, the one who repeated the same year over and over and called it progress. That version was never going to take you anywhere meaningful. He was only a placeholder, a temporary shadow. Now you lead your life. You are no longer just a passenger watching things happen. You are the one in control. And with that comes responsibility to act, to continue, to improve without asking for permission. You do not need approval. You do not need everyone to agree. You need standards, because a man with standards does not wait for motivation. He moves according to his decisions. Every action, every step, every moment becomes a question. Does this help the person I am becoming? If yes, it stays. If no, it is removed. That is how growth works. You remove, you cut, you simplify until only what matters remains, until only strength remains. And in that space, a stronger version of you is formed, not only powerful, but steady and unbreakable. Because once you remove excuses, once you remove weak thinking, once you remove limiting beliefs, what remains is a man who cannot easily be broken, a man whose results are not random anymore. They are built with intention. A man who does not just hope for success, but expects it because his daily actions demand it. And that expectation changes everything. It changes how you stand, how you speak, how you move. People around you can feel it, even if they cannot explain it. They notice something is different because you are no longer carrying the weight of your old identity. You are now living with the strength of your chosen identity. At that point, you do not speak to life like someone asking for permission. You speak like someone building something. You say, this is my standard, this is my direction, this is my future. And anything that does not fit that direction, whether it is a habit, a thought, or a relationship, it cannot stay. Yes, there will be moments of loss in this process. You will feel sadness for the old version of yourself, the one who was comfortable, accepted, and predictable. But you must let that grief pass quickly because that version of you was keeping you small, and you were not made to stay small. You were made to grow, to push forward, to build something stronger with your effort, your vision, and your discipline. You were made to lead your own life with clarity and strength, like someone who knows exactly where they are going and refuses to be distracted. Your mission now is simple but powerful. Become the version of yourself that even your past self would not recognize. Not to impress others, not to prove people wrong, but to prove your highest potential right. That highest version of you is always watching, always waiting, always pushing you forward silently. He is telling you, do not stop, do not slow down, do not settle, because he knows what is at risk. If you slow down, if you become comfortable again, if you return to old patterns, then the weaker version takes control again. And if that happens, you lose everything you are building. That is the real battle. That is the real fight. And that is why you must keep going further than you think you can. You must push through tiredness with purpose. You must move through fear with focus. You must act even when emotions are unstable. Because belief is not just feeling. Belief is action repeated over time. It is showing up again and again until change becomes real. It is removing everything that does not support your growth until only discipline remains. Real change is not one big moment. It is many small decisions where you choose strength instead of comfort, clarity instead of confusion, building instead of wasting time. And those choices slowly become who you are. So do not stop now, especially not now. The final stage always feels the hardest. Your old habits will resist. Your mind will question. Your energy will drop. But that is not a sign to quit. That is a sign that change is close. It means the old version of you is fading. One more push, one more strong decision, one more hour of discipline with no reward, no applause, no attention, and that old version disappears. You will not become someone perfect. You will become someone persistent, someone who does not quit on himself, someone who continues even when it is uncomfortable. That is the real transformation, and understand this clearly. There is no final stopping point. There is no perfect version where everything is done. Growth is a way of living. It is daily renewal. It is choosing again and again not to return to who you used to be. It is a promise to yourself that you will not live small again. That promise is not based on emotion. It is based on structure. It is built into your habits, your routines, your daily decisions, and it pays you back with confidence, strength, and peace. You walk differently because you know you earned it. You earned it through effort, through silence, through consistency when no one was watching. And now you are not the same person anymore. You are not just slightly improved. You are not just more disciplined. You are transformed into someone new. And that new version of you does not chase life blindly. He builds it. And because of that, life starts moving toward him naturally.